Just let me share my screen. Cool. Okay, let's start with a disclaimer. So with any presentation, there's always a disclaimer. So this is basically saying that each individual circumstances are different and you should seek your own professional advice before you do any investing. Okay, have you guys seen a horror movie lately? Well, I hope it's not as horror as this. This is no joke. All these are real cases. And I hope you all will not have nightmare tonight if you are investors. But keep calm. If you engage the right property manager, your risk will be lower. So not sure if you have heard story about investors managing their own properties. Some have happy ending, some not so happy. So I will start today by sharing some potential pitfalls for owners that manage themselves. So here are some of the pitfalls I can identify. Do they have the time to manage it? I mean, time to issue rent receipts, organize maintenance and repairs, prepare statement for the tax accountant at the end of financial year? Do they have the industry knowledge, the rules and the regulations? For example, are they aware of the new residential tenancy COVID-19 that just came out not long ago, which I'll cover a bit later in the presentation? There's also a family domestic violence rules that came out as well last year. So, for example, they can actually terminate in 7 days if you have a restraining order from the court or consumer protection form signed by a doctor, social worker, police officer. So information like this, investors may not have heard of. So that's why you should get a property manager to manage your property. Some of them, I'm not sure they do 4 routine inspections per year. I mean, it's easier for an agent to get tenant to fix stuff than through an owner because we can be a middleman. I'm not sure if they actually do property condition report before the tenants move in and get it signed by the tenant. Because when they vacate or we have to go to court, if you don't do it, we have no documents to base on if something is damaged. If you don't do routine inspection and you just do it when you vacate, you might miss out on the building defect period could have expired or the warranty claim could have expired as well. So things like that, if you do routine inspections every 3 months, you can actually identify any defect or any damage in the property well before they move out. I guess one of the most commonly heard issue is tenants not paying rent and landlord don't know what to do and what's their right. So later on, I'll cover through the process of what you can do to mitigate that issue. And do the tenants actually pay the bond? And do you know where to lodge them? There are actually penalties involved if it's not lodged. Penalties from $2,000 up to $20,000 maximum per property. So there's always involved. And there's some reasons why I can think most investors should choose to use PM services to reduce these risks. So you may be wondering, if you buy properties in Perth, who is going to look after your property after settlement? Well, today I'm going to talk about the services we can offer to you so that you don't have to worry about after settlement and why you should choose us. And I hope you will meet your hero at the end of this presentation. Okay, let me start with the vacancy rate. So the current Perth vacancy rate is about 2.4%. So that means if you have 100 properties on the market, it's probably 2.5 bit are vacant and 98 are rented out. So at 3% is the healthy level because that's when the market is evenly balanced between the tenants and the landlords. So at the current rate of 2.4%, the demand was considered to be slowly outstripping the supply. So that means rents are likely to rise over the time. So there's a low vacancy rate, that's when it's below 3%. So this is a good rental market because there's demands from your tenant and the landlords do not need to wait long. You can be more selective about the tenants you choose to place in the property. So this is basically the landlord's market. So at a high vacancy rate that's above 3 and above, so that's when there's more homes are sitting empty. In this type of scenario, you need to be creative. For example, you can offer a week's free rent or reduce rent slightly, or include a fridge or washing machine in the package in order to get someone into the property. Yeah, this is basically a tenant's market when it's 3 and above. So as can be seen from this curve, money boom happens in 2006. So at that time, the properties were rented out quickly and with many applicants. In 2009, there was a GFC, and also 2016, there was an economic slowdown. There was a peak in the vacancy rate, and the market was not great then. So the other terms you'll come across is the gross rental yield. This is basically a percentage of the annual rental over the purchase price of the property. So at the moment, most of the properties are around 4 to 5%. By the end of the day, it's up to the owners to advise the rent they want to achieve. But of course, you want to make sure that it meets the market rent. Otherwise, it's hard to rent out as well. So you can increase the rental yield by implementing a few strategies. For example, you can do renovations, you paint the wall, improve the landscaping, add security to the property, like home alarms, security cameras, like those appliances, fridge and washing machine or dryer. So they can push the price up a bit. So from this curve here, you can see the gross rental unit for units are generally higher than for houses. I mean, because units are typically located in a good location, like close to transport, public transport, school and stuff like that. So the high demand. So that's why the rental could be higher than houses, because yeah. So let me talk about the services for the property management. So normally, property management starts after the property is settled. However, at Trident, we do things a bit differently. We are quite proactive. Our services start before settlement. So we work closely with your sales rep. So we know a better understanding of your construction timeline or history. So if you want to engage us, first you have to sign a management authority. So this authority basically allows us to act on your behalf. We can send this management authority via DocuSign or electronic, basically requires your electronic signature. So even if you're overseas, you can get this form signed very easily. In the management authority, I'll ask you if you want me to pay all your bills, if you allow pets to the property, if you allow smokers or non-smokers, the rent you want to achieve, and also your bank account details to put the rent in. We also conduct a market research to look at what's currently on the market and recommend a range of possible rent for you. But as always, you have the final say of the rental amount. We will then set a property into our system. So basically, so that all the admin side is all rock and roll by the time the property is settled. If you want us to pick up the keys from the developer or from the seller, we can actually do it for you. We just need authority from you to allow us to do that. But you're welcome to pick the keys and hand over back as well. So most of the time, I'm happy to take photos with my phone, but if you prefer better quality photos, we can actually arrange so we can can you guys mute your microphone, please? Yeah, so normally I can take the photography using my mobile phone, but if you want a better one, you can actually arrange a professional photography, but they will charge you a fee for that. So either way, I'm flexible with it. So once I got all the photos, I can actually advertise once you have your settlement date confirmed. So basically, I advertise in rewarealestate.com, also through our channel on on-site advertisement, and also our find also through our network as well. If you want us to arrange a landlord insurance, we can do that on your behalf. We just read the insurance cover, because some might be cheaper, but they not cover most of the things you need as a landlord. The cost for this for landlord insurance is about $300 per year, so it's not too expensive. So once your property is settled, we'll pick up the keys, or you can pick up keys and also handover pack. So the handover pack will normally have the manuals for your fridge, for your oven, dryer, dishwasher, as well as the warranty certificate as well. So that's all in the handover pack. And then if there's any things up in advertisement, such as your availability date, the settlement could have changed, so we can actually update advertisement as well. And then we can schedule home open for inspection, so either through for walk-ins as well as those who register for the appointment. So we'll actively seek potential tenants for you through our network. We'll keep you posted with the outcome of the home open. So when we receive the application, we normally will process it. We do a background check on them, so we make sure that they have income to pay the rent. So we check employer details. We also call the agent or the landlord that rented their place previously to make sure that they keep the property clean, tidy, didn't damage the property, and also there's no tenancy breaches in the system. We have a national tenancy database. That's where you can check any defaults from any tenants before. So this will tell me if there's any blacklist in the property for the tenant, if they are bankrupt, any credit issues, any court order pending, or any directorship, or if they own any companies. So once I have all this information, I will present those applications to the owners. We'll let you know their income, the outcome of the reference check, the period of the lease, and the rent amount. So the owners will normally have the final say on which tenant they want, and we respect your decision. So once you pick your tenants, we let the tenants know of the good news, and then we sign a lease agreement. So typically it's about minimum 6 months lease, but we prefer 12 months, 1 year lease basically. We also collect the bond, which is a 4 weeks bond from the tenant. If the tenant has a pet, we call it a pet bond of $260. So this bond money will be kept at the government bond registry and can only be accessed at the end of the lease, or when they vacate. We also organize a property condition report so that you have a clear report of how your property is like before the tenants move in. So this property condition report is quite detailed and have a lot of photos, and around 300 photos depend on the property. Your tenant have to sign the report and agree on the condition of the property when they move in. Later on, I'll show you a sample of the property condition report that we have. So the tenants have to organize the utility connection like electricity, internet, gas, but if they want us to help them, we have a company that can does that for them as well. Normally we charge the 2 weeks leasing fee for this managing the whole leasing process. So once on the day they move in, we do a key handover at the property, and we also conduct property induction. So we show them how to use the oven, the cooktop, the range hood, or we also tell them where the RCDs are, which is the residue current detector device. Show them where the gas main are, the water main are, so that if there's any leak or they know what to do with it, they know what to turn off the main and stuff like that. So the common practice is for tenant to pick the keys from the office, but we prefer to do on-site because we want to show them how to use all these items. When the tenant is happy, then and well looked after, they will stay there longer and be more willing to stay longer and be more happier as well. So that's why we prefer them to be comfortable on the first day they move in. The tenant will We'll have a contact details as well, or our emergency contact details, just in case after hours, this life-threatening things, they need contact numbers. So we provide them with the emergency contact details, as well as the strata contact details if they live in an apartment. So this is a sample of the property condition report that we normally do. As can be seen, it's quite detailed, and that all the tenants have to sign on it. There's a cost involved for this report, and it comes to the photo as well. So this sort of report normally lasts 5 years or longer. Yeah, so we can reuse it. So for example, on this report here, for example, on the flooring, it sort of says, it describes the location, the kitchen, the features of flooring, and the inspector comments, and then C basically means it's clean, U undamaged, W is working, and TA means then agree, and the tenant has to say yes, 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 or tick on it. If any comments on it, you'll put the comments onto the comment box. So all this report needs to be signed by all the tenants. So basically it's a legal document. So if there's anything discrepancy, if you go to court, at least we've got the basis to base on. So this is a sample of the property condition report photos. There's lots of them. So this one here is a 4-bed, 2-bath, and 2-car garage house. It's about 1,000 photos for this property. So it's quite detailed. So there should not be any dispute later on when they move out. So once the property is leased, so tenants move in, then we do routine inspections. Normally the first inspection is probably 6 to 8 weeks when they first move in, just to see how they're going, just make sure, you know, there's nothing out of ordinary happened at the property. Then after every 3 months after that. So about 4 inspections a year to make sure the tenants look after your home and there's no major damage or anything. There's a cost involved for this inspection. So the owners and the tenants will get a routine inspection report with photos and action items. If there's anything that needs repair, it will be stated there as well as things that needs to be cleaned. Before the lease expire, we will negotiate with a tenant for a lease renewal. If they like to move out, we ask they give us 4 weeks notice before they move out, so that we have plenty of time to put your property back to the market for advertisement and to look for new tenants. The rent payment. So we do issue receipts for all the rents coming in. So rent payment is typically fortnightly basis, and so once payment comes to account, we send all the tenants a receipt. So at the beginning of each month, we will deposit the fund into your bank account. We also chase rent as well. If it's not paid on time, and issue breach notice. If the tenant doesn't pay rent, we issue a breach notice. They have 14 days to pay the rent. If you still not pay within 14 days, we can issue a vacate later within 7 days to vacate. But if they pay within 7 days, they can still live at the property. So there's procedures involved if they don't pay the rent. If there's any repair that needs to be done, we normally get owner's approval. So I'll get quotation first from tradesmen, and then I'll send to the owner for approval. Owners also can have different preference for tradesmen they want to use. That's also okay for me. We just need to ask for their contact details so that we can organize quotations for them. Once you approve the repair work, we will then liaise with the tradesman and as well as the tenant to organize a time to open up, and then we can use the rent collected to pay for the invoice. So this is a sample of the inspection report. So if there's any maintenance items, I'll get a quote as usual for your approval, and I'll liaise with all the tradesmen and the tenants as well. If there's any clean items or maintenance items, it's also on the report. So it comes with photo as well, so you can actually see the photo. So if there's any differences between 3 months and 6 months ago, we can go back to the photos and find what's the difference. So yeah, that's how we track the property condition. So the other services that we offer you is we can also pay the bills for you. So any bills in regard to your property, for example, the strata bills, the water bills, water rates, council rates, yeah, we can use the rent collected to pay for or insurance, landlord insurance as well. So from time to time, there's always an announcement from Strata, so we can actually deal with your tenant directly or inform you as required. So at the beginning of each month, we will send you a statement to show the income and expenditure for your property the month before, and that basically, and also the bills we pay on your behalf. At the end of each financial year, which is June 30th, we provide you an annual statement, annual financial summary statement, so they can pass to accountant for tax return. So this is a free report, and we do not charge for the report. So sometimes if things go out of the norm, if you have to go to take the tenants to a court or vice versa, we can represent you to attend court as required with a fee. So why you should choose us? We work for you and not for your tenants. Any decisions you make, it could be the rent amount you chosen or the tenants you've selected, we respect it. We treat your properties as our investment properties. We are all property investors ourselves, so we do understand how it works and what you're looking for. We are multilingual and we can speak different languages such as Malay, English, Chinese. There are plenty of ways the tenants and owners can contact us, mobile, WhatsApp, WeChat, emails. But if you want to meet us in office, that's fine as well. We ask that you make an appointment just in case we have other appointments on the day. So I guess you guys are all well aware the COVID-19 pandemic has affected us all one way or another. The government has passed a new act, which is the COVID-19 Response Act, applied to residential tenancies. So this is only applicable for those that are suffering financially from COVID-19. So the main points from this act is there's no eviction during this emergency period. So the emergency period is between 30th of March to 29th of September 2020. So basically, if they do not pay the rent, we cannot actually evict them. The only way is to go through the court. But there's a few rules to go through, some regulations to get through. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you about a bit later on. So they can actually break the lease without penalty if they're suffering financially from COVID-19. The fixed term lease will continue as periodic during the emergency period. There will be no rent increases during this period, and normally we need a proof such as the stood down letter from their employer or employer termination letter. So this is the new rules that the government has put in place for those tenants that are suffering. But we have options available. The first option is to defer the rent, but any rent owing will need to be paid back. So it's basically an owing, you owe the rent. The other option we can do is to reduce the rent for a short period of time. So there's a form to sign for each case. So basically the form will say the period of the agreement and how the arrear will be paid back. For those who doesn't supply any proof they are financially affected, we have to go to the residential tenancy mandatory conciliation services to actually resolve it. The last resort is to go to court, but we can't actually go to court without the conciliation services. So this is what the government is doing because they want the owners and the tenants and the agents to negotiate a way out so that everyone is in agreement. There's plenty of government support we have heard. One of them is a JobKeeper announcement, which is $1,500 per fortnight. They have Centrelink or government welfare support. The government also, the W government also provide 4 weeks rent capped at $2,000. So for those who are suffering from COVID financially, and this rent is paid straight to the landlord or the agent. There's also a super withdrawal, like $10,000 super withdrawal for May and July, which the tenant could withdraw if they want to go that path. So today, I will offer you a special rate. So normally, our management fee is about 8.5% plus GST. But if you sign up today with us by the end of June, or if you're IQI clients, we can offer you a special rate, which is 7.5% plus GST. We are not the cheapest. No, we are the most expensive agents in town. But I'm confident to say that we are the best agents in town, one of the best agents in town. Sometimes we do special rate for our, or offer for IQI project, and your agent will let you know closest to settlement. So we manage properties in Perth with a limitation of 30 kilometers south and 20 kilometers north. And we are selective on the properties we manage. I'm sorry, not Malaysia, Sydney, or Melbourne. It's just too far for me to drive there or to travel there. So I'll leave you with some testimony I received from a tenant and owner. I hope I have given you an overview of what I do. For those that have a property manager managing a property now, that's great. But for those who are thinking of engaging a property manager or thinking of changing a property manager, I hope you will consider using my service. And thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul, for a very informative presentation. So, yeah, I believe that in Perth is actually it's a very good place to invest, whereby we can use Paul, the property manager, and I think the law that in the Perth is actually, or Australia, actually protecting the investor as well. So on top of that, with the systematic property management system, I think all the investor can get the most beneficial things out of the property. So I'm sure everyone has received tons of more information from Paul as well. So if you have any question at all, if you want to ask Paul, please feel free to put in the chat. So far I have not seen any question yet. So seems like Paul have given a really, really good information session. So I think everyone is clear about property management. So anyone want to ask a little bit questions? If you are shy to ask, feel free to type it in the chat, yeah? So Paul, I actually have a question myself.
Yep.
So let's say if I have a friend actually facing this problem recently, whereby the owner or the agents charging them for the wall paint. But when they enter, they say the wall paint is original like that. But then the agent said, no, it's not like that. So there's an argument. So in this kind of case, how can we like come to a settlement or something through a systematic way?
Well, when a tenant move in, they should sign the property condition report. So first of all, you did check with your tenant. Did they sign the property condition report? If they do, then you dig out that property condition report. There should be photos as well, and then you compare the difference. If it's there previously, then your landlord cannot ask them to pay for it because it was there when they first moved in. Yeah.
If there's a pet, do they can they use the pet as the reason, saying that the pet damaging the wall or something?
In the lease agreement, do the landlord allow pets?
Yes, they do pay a pet bond on that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if they allow pets, then in that case, if pets is allowed, they can actually have the pets the property. But how when you say that, do they damage the property or the pets damage the property? But the pets is actually the owner's responsibility. So to look after it. So if they damage the property, they have to pay for it.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. So I still don't see any questions yet. So is there anyone? Oh, so there's one question coming out. So Paul, how can we deal with tenant move out before contract period of time and they are not able to pay rent? So this is the next questions.
Before contract period. When you say contract period, do you mean the lease agreement period? Before it finish, you mean?
So I think the question means before the contract ends and then they just move out straight away and they're not paying any rent.
Okay. So first of all, is it affected by COVID-19? If they are affected by COVID-19, they can actually move out with 21 days notice. Yeah.
If it's not, outside the COVID-19?
If it's outside COVID-19, they have to pay the rent until the end of the lease agreement. Because it's basically a contract. When you sign a contract, the lease agreement, you're supposed to pay rent until the end of the lease agreement, and unless you can find a replacement tenant for you to take over the rent. Yeah.
Okay, so Luis, do we answer your questions? So let's move on to the next question first. So do the advertising costs bear by the landlord in Perth?
Yes, they do. Yes, but this is only so every time I find a new tenant, you have to pay advertising costs because the company charges us, so they charge you back.
Okay, so Cindy, I think answered questions already. And the next one by Lin Yo. So if my client doesn't pay, what can I do?
When you say client, you mean your tenant, or if it doesn't want to pay the rent or pay?
Yeah, so she mentioned it's tenant. Yeah. So if the tenant doesn't pay, what can I do?
Pay the rent, you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you can few ways can do it. You can issue a breach notice to them, so they have 14 days to pay the rent. If 14 days they didn't pay it, you can issue a notice, which is a vacate notice. So in 7 days, they have to vacate in 7 days. Unless they pay within that 7 days, then they can move back in again. They can stay back again. But yeah.
So what if they don't pay anything and then just left without any notice?
But when they move in, they should collect. You guys should collect a 4 weeks rent a bond, right? So if they didn't pay anything, you can actually deduct the bond. There's always landlord insurance as well. Landlord insurance able to help you as well. So there's a lot of protection. So 4 weeks bond, landlord insurance. Yeah.
Okay, so basically I think that answered to James' questions. If they left the country and then we can't trace them, so basically we can use landlord insurance or their bonds that they paid up front. So go to the next questions by Cindy. Is assigning exclusive agent a compulsory in Australia?
Yes, basically you allow them to manage your property. Without that, we can't do anything. We can't manage your property.
Yep. So does that answer your question, Cindy? Okay, that's good. So is there any more questions that you guys want to ask Paul? It's actually very hard to invite Paul, you see. He's really busy. And so, okay, that's next questions. What sort of insurance I need to buy as an investor?
So landlord insurance, building insurance, if you buy a house, building insurance. So basically the content insurance, if you have furniture in the property, they'll cover as well.
So Paul, maybe you can elaborate a bit, like how does the landlord insurance help the investor in this scenario? Yeah.
So I think because of the COVID-19 now, most new insurance company stop having the loss of rent coverage. But if you buy prior to COVID-19, they do cover. Depends on which insurance company you go for. They do cover tenant default. So if the tenant don't pay rent, if the bond is exhausted, they do cover up to 6 weeks of rent. Depends on which insurance you go to. They also cover the content as well. I mean, like carpets, window finish, the blinds that are not fixed to the property. What else? And also damage. There's a damage sum to $60,000 or $70,000, depends on the property. So the internals. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think basically only Australia have this kind of insurance that cover the content, right, for the owner, whereby if there's any damage by the tenants towards the property, you can actually claim the landlord insurance. So that's the most, I think, the purpose of the landlord insurance.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Lin, did we answer your question about that? So next, we can go to the next question again. So during COVID-19, tenant did not pay 4 weeks and then move out without notice. How can we acquire tenant pay for 4 weeks and break lease agreement? But tenant answer they don't have money to pay.
So is the tenant still or tenant moved out? To move out of property, you know, and so they move out. They owe you 4 weeks rent. You can get from the bond, tenancy bond, and also the insurance as well. So if you buy landlord insurance, you should be able to claim the landlord insurance. You know.
Okay. I hope we answer your question, Luis. And next, do you offer rental guarantee?
That's probably through the developer. If you buy, I guess I'm not a sales agent here. If you buy a property, you can ask ask them to include rental guarantee. So I'm sure they will more than happy.
Well, normally in Perth, the rental guarantee was given by the developer. So as a property management, they will just they will give you the market appraisal, the rental appraisal range, but they can't give you the guarantee. So I think property management, basically, they will do all the market research and then they will do all the application for you. At the end of the day, you are still, as the property owner or the investor, you will still be the one that decide what kind of rental income that you are deciding. So yeah. So another question, if developer offer, will you help me to collect the money?
Yes, we will. So we will help the owner to send an invoice to the developer and get the money paid to us, then we'll pay you back, or you pay direct to you. So either way.
Okay, yep. So I bet we answered that question already for Ling Yo. And then next, Cindy, is there any difference in real estate practice at different towns in Australia? For example, Perth, Sydney, Melbourne. Is it the same or different?
They are different. So different sets have different set of regulations. For here it's called REWA, in South Australia could be called REISA or something like that. So there's different agencies, different institution that governs the rules. Just like the COVID-19, the ease of restriction, they're different for each state as well.
Okay, yep. So, and okay, go back to Louis' questions again. I think it's a continuance from the question earlier. The bond 4 week, we can take it and claim for insurance. Is it right? Or we must sue the tenant?
So the bond must have lodged to the government called bond admin. So to get the money out, the tenant has to sign the form to release the bond back to you. Yep, that's okay. To get money, take the bond out, and you can claim insurance. Is that right? We can claim insurance. We must sue the tenants. If you want to sue the tenants, you probably have to go to court. But just wondering, do you have an agent manage it? Because sometimes you can actually blacklist them if you want. But because
basically suing people in Perth costs money as well.
Because cost money. You go to court, costs money because once the paperwork you have to prepare, it's a lot of money, a lot of time and cost money.
Yeah. So I hope you answer Louis' questions. So next, by Lin, can owner hold a bond for security?
By law, you can't. You have to lodge to the bond administration. That's where all the bond money should reside. Yeah. Otherwise, you get penalty. Harsh penalty.
So basically, I believe a lot of people, they wanted to do by their own, and then but then in the law, in Perth law, we can't do that.
You can still lodge it. You can still lodge to the bond admin. Once you see the fund to yourself, just lodge the fund back to lodge the paperwork and lodge the bond to the bond admin. Yeah, because it's basically someone else's money, and you have to be careful with it because it's someone else's money. It's not your money yet. So
Okay, yep. Can I ask for more than 4 weeks rental?
No, you can't. Maximum 4 weeks.
Yep, so that's answering your questions. So, yep, is there any other more questions? I hope we answer most of the questions here. Yep, so if there's no further questions from the audience, I think our presentation is until now, yeah. So once again, we would like to thank all for participating in today's sessions. And just an update on our weekly program, which is Friday night with IQI WA. Next week, we are going to invite the director of IQI Vietnam to share about investment in Vietnam. So if you wanted to diversify your portfolios, please stay tuned, or you can get any information by email to our emails, sales team email, which I type it in, or you can give us a call as well if you have any questions about property management or anything about investment in Perth. So, yep, so that's all for tonight. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next week again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.